In a world where physical beauty often takes the spotlight, we tend to forget that there's another kind of attraction, one that doesn't fade with time, one that pulls people in even when they can't quite explain why. It's not about facial features, body shape, or style. It's about how your mind works. Having an attractive brain means possessing a rare blend of intelligence, emotional depth, and inner calm that draws others in without you even trying. You don't show off, you radiate. People with truly attractive minds have something magnetic about them. When you speak, others listen, not because your voice is the loudest, but because your words have weight. When you stay silent, your presence still feels powerful, almost like you're communicating on a deeper level. You think differently, and that difference is what makes people curious about you. They can sense that there's something more beneath your surface, layers of wisdom, restraint, and quiet confidence that can't be faked. But here's the paradox. Most people who have an attractive brain don't realize it. They're often humble, introspective, and even a little self-doubting. They don't crave attention, and that's exactly why they get it. They don't chase validation, and that's what makes others seek theirs. You might be one of these people, the kind who underestimates their value because they measure themselves by the wrong standards. You look around and think, I'm not as charming, funny, or expressive as others, without realizing that your calm energy is what makes you magnetic. An attractive brain isn't just about intellect, it's about awareness. You observe more than you speak. You question things that others take for granted. You don't follow trends blindly or believe everything you hear. You think critically, feel deeply, and understand subtly. That combination, intellect with emotional intelligence, is rare. It's what gives your words depth, your silence power, and your actions meaning. You've probably noticed how some people open up easily around you. Even if you barely say a word, they sense that you're safe to be around, not judgmental, not shallow, not fake. That's another sign of an attractive brain. Emotional maturity. You understand that everyone is fighting a battle you can't see, so you treat people with quiet kindness. You know that being right is less important than being understanding. You listen, not to respond, but to truly hear. In a noisy world, that kind of calm presence stands out. It makes people feel grounded. When you talk, you don't just fill the silence, you make silence meaningful. You don't manipulate conversations to be about you. You let others express themselves fully. And because of that, people walk away from you feeling seen, valued, and respected. They might not know why they enjoy your company so much, they just know they do. Having an attractive brain also means being curious. You love learning, not for grades or applause, but because understanding the world deeply brings you joy. You connect ideas others overlook. You can see patterns, motivations, and hidden truths in human behavior. That's why conversations with you feel different, more thoughtful, more real. People remember how you make them think. You challenge their assumptions without making them feel small. You teach them something new just by being yourself. But perhaps the most powerful part of having an attractive brain is how it shapes your self-control. You don't let emotions rule you even when you feel deeply. You know how to pause before reacting. You understand that not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult deserves a response, and not every opportunity should be chased. This quiet discipline, this ability to stay centered when others lose balance, makes you glow with unshakable strength. Still, people with attractive minds often doubt themselves. They think, I'm too quiet, or I overthink things, or I don't fit in. But those so-called flaws are actually signs of depth. Overthinking is just another word for thinking carefully. Quietness often comes from observing deeply. Not fitting in means you're meant to stand out differently. The very qualities you question about yourself are the ones that make your mind magnetic. In the end, an attractive brain isn't something you flaunt. It's something you embody. It shows in your patience, in your words, in your calm. It's in how you treat others when no one's watching, how you forgive instead of retaliate, how you choose peace over pride. People might not always compliment you for it, but they feel it. They remember the way your energy makes them feel seen, safe, and inspired. And maybe that's the quiet secret of truly attractive people. They don't need to announce their brilliance or goodness. It simply radiates through everything they do. If you've ever been told you're different, calm, or easy to talk to, take it as a sign. You might already have the kind of beauty that never fades, the beauty of a truly attractive mind. Having an attractive brain isn't just about intelligence or logic, it's about emotional depth. This is the quiet, unseen quality that makes people feel connected to you on a level beyond words. Emotional depth is rare in a world where most people live on the surface, chasing quick pleasures, external validation, and instant distractions. You, however, feel more. You see more. You process life with a kind of quiet intensity that others might never notice. But they feel it. Emotional depth means you understand the unseen layers of human experience, the sadness behind someone's smile, the insecurity behind someone's anger, the pain behind someone's silence. You notice what most people overlook, and that makes you incredibly empathetic. People are drawn to you not because you have all the answers, but because you feel their emotions without them having to explain much. They sense that you understand, and that understanding feels safe. Like emotional shelter in a world that often feels cold, this ability to connect deeply is part of what makes your brain so attractive. While others might react to emotions impulsively, you reflect before responding. You can hold multiple truths at once, understanding that someone can be wrong yet still worthy of compassion, or that pain and growth can coexist. This mental balance is powerful. It shows maturity, wisdom, and emotional intelligence, qualities that make your presence feel grounding and real. However, having emotional depth can also feel like a burden. You might absorb others' pain easily, feel drained in crowds, or overthink small interactions. You might even feel misunderstood because you process life more deeply than those around you. But what you see as oversensitivity is actually a form of emotional intelligence. It's your mind's way of reading between the lines and picking up on subtle, emotional cues that others miss. This awareness gives you a unique advantage in relationships, conversations, and decision-making. Emotionally deep people often prefer meaningful conversations over small talk. You crave depth, truth, and vulnerability. You're not interested in gossip or empty validation. You want to understand. You want to know why people think and act the way they do. You seek connection, not attention. And because you approach others with authenticity, they naturally open up to you. They sense that you won't judge them for their flaws, that you'll listen with compassion rather than criticism. That trust is magnetic, and it's a direct reflection of your attractive brain. Another mark of emotional depth is your relationship with solitude. You're not afraid of being alone, because solitude helps you recharge, reflect, and reconnect with your inner world. While others might escape silence through distractions, you embrace it. You use quiet moments to process emotions, evaluate your growth, and gain perspective. That inner stability makes you less dependent on external approval, a rare and powerful trait. People notice this quiet confidence. It's not arrogance, it's peace. And peace, more than anything else, is deeply attractive. Emotionally deep individuals also tend to see beauty where others see nothing. You might find meaning in ordinary things, in a sunset, a conversation, a line from a book, a simple act of kindness. That sensitivity gives your life richness. It makes you more grateful, more present, more aware of life's subtleties. It's as if your mind is tuned to a frequency most people can't hear. You feel connected to people, to nature, to existence itself. That connection radiates through your energy, your words, your choices. But perhaps the most beautiful thing about emotional depth is that it teaches you compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. You understand that humans are flawed and evolving. You don't expect perfection. You value growth. When you make mistakes, you reflect instead of judging yourself harshly. You learn, you adapt, you grow stronger. That mindset, the ability to turn pain into wisdom, is one of the highest signs of an attractive mind. Still, your emotional depth might sometimes make you feel like you don't belong. You may wonder why others seem unaffected by things that touch you deeply. But remember, your sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's your gift. It means you experience life more vividly. You see color where others see gray. You hear music in silence. You notice meaning in moments others ignore. The world needs minds like yours, minds that feel, heal, and remind others of what truly matters. In a society obsessed with superficiality, emotional depth stands out. It's a quiet rebellion, a refusal to live shallowly, and those who carry it possess an inner glow that no amount of makeup, fame, or wealth can imitate. People might not always understand you, but they'll feel you, your calm, your sincerity, your warmth. You leave emotional fingerprints wherever you go. So if you've ever felt too sensitive, too emotional, or too deep, know this: those qualities are not flaws. They are signs of your mind's beauty. They are proof that your brain doesn't just think, It feels. And in a world where many are numb, that makes you extraordinary. Your emotional depth isn't just attractive, and it's transformative. It heals others, inspires honesty, and brings light to dark places. And that truly is the mark of an attractive brain. One of the clearest signs of an attractive brain is intellectual independence, the ability to think for yourself even when the world tries to think for you. It's that quiet confidence that comes from not needing to copy trends, follow crowds, or seek constant validation. You don't just accept ideas, you question them. You don't just react to life, you analyze it. Your mind is your own, and that independence is magnetic in a world full of mental followers. Intellectual independence doesn't mean being rebellious for the sake of it. It means having the courage to form your own perspective, based on logic, experience, and reflection, and even when it's unpopular. You don't just believe what everyone else does because it's convenient. You search for truth, not comfort. You're willing to stand alone if it means staying honest with yourself. That strength of thought makes your presence powerful. People may not always agree with you, but they can't help but respect your clarity and conviction. Most people are driven by trends, emotions, and social pressure. They think what they're told to think. They follow what's loudest. But you, with your attractive brain, move differently. You pause before forming opinions. You read, observe, and reflect. You try to understand before judging. You care less about being right and more about being real. That's what makes your perspective valuable. It's not borrowed. It's earned. You may have noticed how people often come to you for advice or clarity. They sense that your thinking isn't clouded by bias or ego. You don't give answers just to please others. You give insights that actually make sense. You're not swayed by emotional manipulation, media noise, or social approval. You think independently, and that makes you trusted. In a world that rewards conformity, your authenticity is refreshing. But intellectual independence isn't loud or arrogant. It's quiet. You don't need to prove your intelligence to anyone. You'd rather understand something deeply than debate it endlessly. You don't flaunt your knowledge because true wisdom never needs to shout. Instead, you express yourself calmly, clearly, and thoughtfully. You can admit when you're wrong because your goal isn't to win, it's to learn. That humility, combined with insight, makes your intelligence not just sharp but graceful. Your independence also shows in how you handle information. You're not easily fooled by appearances or trends. You see patterns, contradictions, and motives that others overlook. You can tell when someone's pretending, when a story doesn't add up, or when emotions are clouding judgment. This mental clarity helps you make better decisions in relationships, work, and life. It protects you from manipulation, and it gives others a sense of trust in your judgment. An attractive brain also knows how to balance open-mindedness with discernment. You're curious about new ideas, but you don't absorb them blindly. You listen to different opinions, but you filter them through your own values and logic. You're flexible, not fickle. Confident, not stubborn. That balance makes you both intelligent and approachable. You can challenge others without belittling them. And that ability to discuss, not dominate, makes your conversations deeply engaging. Intellectual independence also shapes your relationship with solitude. You actually enjoy spending time alone because your mind is an interesting place to be. You use solitude not as an escape, but as a laboratory, a space to think, analyze, and imagine. You reflect on your experiences, draw lessons from them, and grow from within. You don't need constant stimulation to feel alive. Your curiosity keeps you mentally nourished. That self-sufficiency makes you quietly powerful. Of course, having an independent mind can be isolating at times. You might feel misunderstood because you see things differently. You might get frustrated when others accept shallow thinking or emotional drama as normal. But this separation is part of your gift. It's not loneliness, it's distinction. You're not meant to blend in. You're meant to elevate. And eventually, people who value depth and truth will gravitate toward your energy. Another fascinating trait of intellectually independent people is how they handle disagreement. You don't take differences personally. You can debate ideas without attacking people. You respect opposing views because you understand that truth has many layers. This ability to stay calm and rational during conflict makes you emotionally and mentally attractive. It shows that your ego isn't fragile. Your self-worth doesn't depend on being agreed with. That quiet confidence is rare and people can feel it. Your attractive brain also values growth over comfort. You'd rather be challenged by a new idea than entertained by a shallow one. You read, explore, and keep evolving. You're not afraid to change your mind when new evidence appears, man. Because to you, intelligence means progress, not pride. That willingness to evolve keeps your mind vibrant and magnetic. People sense that talking to you changes them. It opens new windows in their thinking. Ultimately, intellectual independence is about freedom. The freedom to think, feel, and live authentically. It's the ability to trust your mind even when others doubt you. It's the wisdom to know that trends fade but truth lasts. And when you carry that mindset, you don't need to prove your worth. Your presence speaks for itself. People are drawn to you because your mind isn't trapped in the noise of the world. You think deeply, act deliberately, and speak meaningfully. You remind others that intelligence isn't about showing off. It's about seeing clearly. One of the most overlooked but powerful signs of an attractive brain is calmness. In a world where everyone reacts instantly, where emotions explode online, tempers flare in seconds, and noise dominates attention, and calmness is a superpower. It's the art of thinking before reacting, observing before judging, and choosing peace when chaos surrounds you. People with attractive minds don't let life pull them in every direction. They remain centered, balanced, and steady, and that stillness and that quiet restraint makes them magnetic. Calmness isn't weakness. It's control. It's knowing that you can react, but you choose not to. It's the ability to feel emotions deeply without letting them dictate your actions. When others lose themselves in anger, anxiety, or ego, your calm presence stands out. You radiate stability, the kind of grounded energy that people crave when their own lives feel turbulent. They may not understand why they feel safe around you, but it's your inner stillness that draws them in. Restraint, too, is a sign of an attractive mind. In a world obsessed with expressing every thought, opinion, and feeling, restraint has become rare. You don't overshare to be understood. You speak only when you have something meaningful to say. You don't argue just to prove a point. You choose silence when silence is wiser. You know that not every reaction deserves a response, and that mastery of self-control makes you appear confident, mature, and mysterious. This calmness comes from emotional and intellectual balance. You've learned that reacting impulsively rarely helps. It only adds fuel to chaos. Instead, you process situations quietly, analyzing motives, emotions, and outcomes before acting. You don't get lost in temporary emotions because you've trained your mind to focus on what truly matters. That kind of inner discipline doesn't just make you wise. It makes you irresistible. People often confuse loudness with power, but true power is calm. It doesn't need to shout. It simply is. When someone insults you and you stay composed, you show strength that words can't match. When life tests you and you remain steady, others see a kind of grace they admire but can't easily imitate. Your calmness is not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. It's knowing that real strength doesn't come from control over others, but control over yourself. This is what sets people with attractive minds apart, their ability to stay unshaken in uncertain times. You understand that storms will pass, that emotions are temporary, and that peace is a choice. This awareness gives you an aura of quiet confidence. When you walk into a room, you don't need to dominate attention. Your energy already does that. You don't compete to be noticed. People naturally notice you because your calmness feels refreshing in a noisy world. But calmness doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel deeply without being consumed. You allow yourself to experience pain, joy, love, and loss fully, yet you keep your inner world stable. You know that every emotion carries a message, but none deserve to control your entire life. This kind of maturity shows an advanced emotional intelligence, the hallmark of a truly attractive brain. Restraint also extends to how you handle success and failure. When you achieve something, you don't boast. You stay humble. When you fail, you don't crumble. You learn. You understand that neither triumph nor loss defines you. Your response does. That stability makes people trust you. They know you won't panic when things go wrong or become arrogant when things go right. You embody balance, and that makes you dependable, a rare and admirable quality. Your calm nature also enhances your ability to communicate. You don't speak to impress. You speak to express clearly. You listen more than you talk. And when you finally speak, your words carry depth and weight because they come from reflection, not impulse. This thoughtful communication style makes others respect you instantly. You become the kind of person whose silence feels wise, and whose words feel necessary. In relationships, your calmness becomes a source of comfort. You don't escalate arguments unnecessarily. You don't play emotional games. Instead, you create space for understanding. You're patient when others are defensive, composed when others are reactive. You diffuse tension instead of feeding it. That ability to regulate emotions doesn't just make you emotionally attractive, it makes you magnetically trustworthy. People feel safe being vulnerable around you because they know you won't use their emotions against them. But developing calmness isn't something that happens overnight. It comes from self-awareness, from observing your own mind, understanding your triggers, and learning to pause before reacting. Stoic thinkers, for instance, believe that calmness is a form of wisdom, that we cannot control external events, but we can always control our response. You live by this philosophy whether you realize it or not, and that's why your calmness feels so rare. It's not forced. It's earned through reflection, discipline, and growth. In the end, calmness and restraint are not just traits. They are reflections of a refined mind. The most captivating thing about someone with an attractive brain isn't just their intelligence, calmness, or emotional depth. It's their authenticity. In a world where so many people wear masks, change themselves to fit in, or pretend to be what others want them to be, authenticity feels like fresh air. People with attractive minds are unapologetically themselves. They don't chase approval, and they don't dilute their truth to make others comfortable. Their honesty, combined with quiet wisdom, gives them a glow that no amount of surface charm can ever match. Authenticity begins with self-awareness. You know who you are, your strengths, flaws, values, and limits. You don't pretend to be perfect, and that honesty makes you trustworthy. You're not trying to impress people with an image. You let your actions speak for themselves. There's something deeply magnetic about a person who's real. Someone whose thoughts, words, and actions align. When you say you'll do something, you do it. When you believe in something, you stand by it. That integrity builds silent respect. An authentic person with wisdom doesn't fear vulnerability. You're not ashamed to admit when you don't know something or when you've been wrong. You see mistakes not as failures but as teachers. You understand that wisdom doesn't come from pretending to have all the answers, and it comes from the humility to keep learning. And that humility, that quiet acceptance of imperfection, makes your intelligence approachable. People are drawn to you because you don't try to outshine them. You inspire them to think, reflect, and grow alongside you. Wisdom also gives your authenticity depth. You don't just live reactively. You live intentionally. You make choices based on principles, not pressure. You've learned that true peace comes from aligning your actions with your values. You know what matters and what doesn't. You've outgrown the need to compete, argue, or prove yourself. That inner clarity makes you appear calm, confident, and deeply grounded. Traits that attract the right kind of people and repel the wrong kind. You also understand that authenticity isn't about being brutally honest in ways that hurt others. It's about expressing truth with compassion. You can speak your mind without cruelty, correct others without humiliation, and set boundaries without guilt. That emotional intelligence makes your authenticity graceful. People respect you not only for being real but for being kind while doing so. In conversations, your authenticity shows through your depth. You don't talk to impress, you talk to connect. You're curious, not judgmental. You ask questions that go beyond the surface because you truly care about understanding others. You don't play social games or say things just to be liked. You'd rather have one honest conversation than 100 meaningless ones. That sincerity is rare, and it's why people remember you long after you've left. Wisdom also means you've learned the art of letting go of people, habits, and thoughts that don't serve your peace. You understand that not every connection needs to last. Not every opinion deserves a response, and not every opportunity is worth chasing. You've realized that your energy is sacred, and protecting it doesn't make you selfish, it makes you wise. That detachment from drama and superficiality makes you glow differently. People notice your peace and want to know how you maintain it. You've also developed a quiet confidence that comes from knowing your worth. You don't need to prove your value to anyone. You know what you bring to the table: depth, understanding, patience, and authenticity. And you refuse to settle for less than mutual respect. That kind of self-assurance is attractive because it's not based on arrogance or comparison. It's rooted in self-respect and awareness. You're not trying to be better than anyone. You're simply being yourself, fully and fearlessly. Your authenticity also makes your presence healing. People feel comfortable around you because they don't have to pretend. You give others permission to be real by being real yourself. Your calm energy disarms defensiveness. Your honesty inspires trust. Even without saying much, your presence reminds others that it's okay to be imperfect, to grow and to live truthfully. That's what makes your mind not just attractive, but transformative. And at the core of all this lies wisdom. Wisdom is what ties everything together. Your emotional depth, your calmness, your independence, and your authenticity. It's the quiet understanding that life isn't about being seen as perfect. It's about becoming peaceful. It's realizing that intelligence without kindness is hollow, and that confidence without humility is fragile. Wisdom gives your intelligent soul. It turns knowledge into insight, and experience into grace. People with wise and authentic minds don't chase the spotlight, the light finds them. They inspire without trying, teach without preaching, and heal without forcing. They understand that true beauty doesn't come from appearance or charm, comes from presence. And your presence, shaped by wisdom and truth, leaves a lasting impression on everyone you meet. So if you've ever felt different, too deep, too calm, too honest, know this: those aren't weaknesses. They're the final marks of a mind that has matured beautifully. You don't need to change who you are to be noticed. Just keep being real. Keep learning. Keep walking your path with quiet integrity. The world eventually recognizes genuine brilliance, because it can't ignore it forever.